Welcome to the Christian Woman Leadership Podcast, where we hope to inspire you to embrace your God-given gifts, skills, and passions in order to lead with confidence. We want you to remember that you are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, and you are fully loved by Him.
You have been designed on purpose by God with unique gifts and passions in order to love and lead those around you. I'm your host, Esther Littlefield, a pastor's wife, business owner, mom, and writer.
And I'm Esther's co-host, Holly Kane. I'm a wife, mom, and business owner. I also write at hollykane.org, where I focus on my passion for women's ministry.
Together, we chat about important issues that Christian women leaders face. In addition, we interview other women just like you who lead in various roles, from church to community to business. Through this podcast, we offer you encouragement, tools, and resources to help you on your leadership journey. We are so glad you're here with us. Welcome to this episode of the Christian Woman Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Esther Littlefield, and today you are in for a treat. I'm talking with Sonya Battle about her leadership journey and how she founded a nonprofit to support teachers. Her story is inspirational and informative, especially if you've ever attempted to start something new that feels really big. Sonya shares so many powerful leadership insights, including how she views and prioritizes diversity in her organization, providing a safe place for others as a leader, navigating failure, and what to do when others don't support your dreams or vision. Finally, you will hear what Sonya does to stay healthy as a leader, her words of wisdom to younger leaders, and of course, we wrap up with our Leaders Are Learners segment. I know you are going to truly benefit from hearing this story today, so I hope that you enjoy it as much as I did with her. Now, before we dive into the conversation, I want to share with you about today's sponsor, which is my Confident Conversations mini course. Part of being a leader is having hard conversations. You might need to bring a concern to a leader, like we talked about in episode 164, or you might have to address a coworker or an employee or a team member that you supervise about an issue that's come up. Or perhaps there's just a challenging situation with a family member or a friend that you need to address, and you're not exactly sure how to do it. Confident Conversations is a mini course that I created to help you be able to initiate and lead hard conversations as a Christian woman. Even if you struggle with confrontation, you aren't sure what to say, and you want to avoid hurting people in the process. So you can find out more and grab this mini course at confidentconversations.co. So it's without the M. I think the last time I mentioned this, I actually said .com. So it's confidentconversations.co. The link will be in the show notes for this episode. So you can also just click right in there and head over and check that out. All right, friend, let's go ahead and dive into our conversation with Sonya Battle. All right. Welcome, Sonya, to the podcast. I am really happy to have you here with us today. And to get us started, would you be willing just to share a little bit about yourself and what your life and leadership looks like right now?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Esther, and I'm excited to be here. A little bit about me. My name is Sonya Battle, and I'm originally born and raised in Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana, and I now live in North Carolina. I've been here many years, but I'm a Louisiana girl at heart, and that will never change. Life and leadership for me right now is, it's very interesting right now. I'm in a place where I am learning. As a leader, we should always be learners, and we should be servants first. So I enjoy that I get to serve and I get to be a servant leader. But the bigger part of that for me is being a servant, being an example, operating in and with integrity, and creating opportunities to make people's lives better. So life and leadership are lining up for me right now, because even in my personal life, I'm in a space where I'm making sure that I focus on being the best me I can be, so that I can be who I need to be for those that I am called to serve.
Awesome. And can you tell me a little bit more about your leadership journey? So maybe do you remember a time growing up or even in your adult life where you sensed that you were a leader or that became apparent to you for yourself?
Yes. So in growing up, I noticed as I got older, even in elementary, middle school, I remember very clearly middle school, I would always end up in situations where we had to do group projects or group assignments. I would be the one that everyone would look to, or I would be the one that people would come to for advice or even needing to talk to just, out of the blue, they would just come to me. I know now that was the gift and the light that God had already placed in me. And that's what they saw. So I knew then that I was not a follower and I was definitely a leader. And I wanted to be a leader that made a difference and that was reachable and helped and led by example. So I'm a team player. So I think that's one of the best leaders you can be. So early on, even like I said, middle school, elementary, and as I just continue to grow in life and going to college and even in church, I would end up in positions where that trust would be given to me to lead. And being a leader, you can get a title, but you have to bring leadership to that role and that position.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love what you just said that trust was given to you. I've never heard it put that way, but that is such a good point about leadership that
Yes.
really it is that you're being entrusted with something and it's something to honor and to, really hold with respect because
Yes.
other people are kind of depending on you with that responsibility. Right. So good.
Right. Yes. Thank you.
I know we're going to talk a little bit later about kind of what you're doing now and something that you've started, which I'm excited to dive into that. But I'd love to just chat a little bit more about your perspective on leadership. So I'd love to hear, how do you define leadership?
I define leadership. Leadership for me starts, again, I'm going to go back and you may hear this word a lot for me because I think to qualify to be a leader, you have to be a servant first. And leadership for me looks like, what can I do? What can I give? How can I build my life even personally, that even people that are watching and not saying anything can learn and take note and know how to endure, know how to be committed. That's leadership. Dependability, reliability, sacrifice is huge in leadership. Accountability is huge in leadership because there are a lot of times that as a leader, you're going to sacrifice the most. So you have to be clear on your mission and what you're doing to ensure that this is something that I have a passion for. This is something that where my heart is, that I know that I can serve effectively, because it's going to cost you something to be an effective and efficient leader that can reach many people, many backgrounds. To be diverse in your leadership is very important. That's what leadership looks like to me.
Yeah. Something we don't love talking about is the sacrifice that it takes. Yes. And that's something that I think a lot of times when we hear about leadership, we hear about the almost like the respect and the honor you get and the awards and the people looking up to you. But really, like you're saying, there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes that you have to be personally committed to serving your people. And that's how you can become a good leader. So such a good perspective. So Sonya, could you share along your journey, have there been any mentors that have impacted you in your own leadership journey?
Oh, yes. I've had some amazing people that I even now look up to and glean from that are beyond. They're where I want to grow to. They're where I want to grow and go to. And they have impacted me in ways of teaching me how to view things, teaching me to look at things in more than one perspective, making sure that I'm not closed-minded, because as a leader, you can't be closed-minded and you can't align your leadership with how you would personally do it. Sometimes we get, we say, oh, this is how I do it. Well, you have to consider those you serve, and you have to consider the different personalities. So I've had, I have mentors in my life. Well, they are leaders, but mentors in my life that has taught me about this selfless journey as a leader, who have taught me how to make sure that I plan and I anticipate needs, how to make sure that I'm organized and that I'm stable and that I'm planted right, so that what I produce, the fruit that come from me, will be fruit that can give life to others. So if you pick a fruit off of my tree, meaning my advice, my idea, my support, if you get that fruit, when you take part in that fruit, it's going to help you grow. It's going to help you discover more. It's going to help you become. So yes, I have 3 mentors that are amazing in my life.
I love that. It's such a good visual of the tree and the fruit.
Yes.
I just love that perspective.
Yes.
Awesome. So, Sonya, I know that what we have found as we've had so many conversations with leaders on this podcast is that most leaders have a message and something that they are passionate about sharing. So I'd love to know for you, if you have a particular message or kind of a mission in your life that you have felt called to share, and if you'd like to share that with us and how that came to be.
Yes. So my foundation and platform is love. And when I say love, I mean the love of God, because that's where all things start for me. That foundation, properly laid and understood, helps you to build and grow effectively. My message and mission to people when I meet them, a lot of people that I meet, men and women, they are sometimes not aware of the power that already lies within them. And it is a message and a mission of mine to let people know that you already have the power. Yeah, I get that we say, hey, we're going to have an empowerment session or an empowerment gathering. And if I empower you, I'm transferring or giving you some of my power. And that works to, motivate and make you feel great. But what I want you to do, because when that moment passes, I want you to tap into the power that lies within you. I want you to understand that you have a power that was already given to you. You were created and born with it, that when you unlock that power, it releases the strength and the resolve you need to sustain you through whatever your purpose in your journey is in life. You can make it because you already have the goods on the inside. Unlock your power and you will exceed your expectation and your goals.
So just a side note, do you do some public speaking? Because you're just like inspiring me here as I listen to you on the podcast. I'm ready to stand up.
Oh, thank you. I do sometimes do inspirational, motivational speaking. If people call on me and I just share my heart and my journey. Our journey qualifies us for a whole lot. Yes, I believe in education. Yes, get the education, get the degrees, get the certification. But the real qualification, what qualifies you for what you do, what qualifies me for what I do, is what we have walked through, what we have experienced, what we have successfully overcome. And even sometime in our failures, there are so many lessons in our failures. So our failures, even if they come, we're disappointed, but that's not a place to stop. That's a place to reflect, have your moment, shed your tear. It's okay, because the Bible lets us know that God, he bottles up our tears. He reads our tears. So I call them tear prayers. So have your moment, but take that failure and build faith from that and learn and take those lessons and let it fuel you to continue. My failures are my fuel to my greatness.
That is so powerful. It's such a good reminder.
Yes.
So you have started an organization called the Teacher's Resource. And I'm excited to hear more about this and about your mission and about what you're doing. But I'd love to hear the backstory. What led you to doing this, to starting this organization?
During the pesky pandemic that is passing, one of a gentleman that I know who's an amazing teacher, when they went back initially during the pandemic, he posted on Facebook, "Pray for teachers who are not open." okay. And I did. And it was in that time of prayer that God gave me this idea. At the time, it was called the Teacher's Backpack. And we have since changed the name to the Teacher's Resource. And it was a thought and an idea that when we researched, it was nowhere out there. It was a place where teachers can come and we can provide exclusive self-care support for their total well-being, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I'm focused on the inside care. Our motto is taking care of the person behind the teacher. If we overlook the person, that's not going to be good for them to be who they need to be to even be that teacher. So teachers are people first. And so that's the backstory. I wrote it all out. We were established August the 11th, 2020, and we have been growing and building since that time. So that's how we came to be. And we're just excited about the mission to make sure that the person behind the teacher is okay.
That's so beautiful. So is it a nonprofit organization or a business? I'm just curious how it's structured in terms of the organization.
It is structured as a nonprofit organization, and we are a national organization. Our big goal is to support teachers throughout the USA. And of course, you start where you are and you build, but we are connected with a lot of teachers through social media in other states and even in other countries. They reached out to us and say, hey, I know we don't qualify, but no one has ever thought about our self-care. And of course, I couldn't turn them away. So it's like, come on and be a part. And we do like Teacher of the Week. So we've had 2 teachers internationally to win Teacher of the Week. And they give some prizes, or whomever donate, they may donate gift cards. So yes, we are excited to support all teachers.
Okay. That's so good. So how did you figure out that this was something you wanted to do? I mean, I know you told me the backstory, but were you involved in education previously or involved in nonprofits previously? I know that we have listeners who have sometimes dreams of starting a nonprofit or doing something like what you've done. So I'm just curious on your background, kind of what led you to being able to get this off the ground.
Well, I'm not an educator. That is the number one question that I get asked all the time. Are you an educator? And I am not an educator, but I was greatly impacted by my teachers growing up as a little girl who saw purpose and destiny in me that I didn't even know existed. They saw that and helped me understand who I was and helped me with my identity. And then also I have teachers in my family, and I'm just committed to people who sacrifice and are selfless. And I understand what it also feels like to be overworked, overlooked, underappreciated. Unfortunately, those are some of the things that I hear from our teachers. And so my heart is driven there. I know that my purpose in life is I'm called to people. I'm called to bring hope and healing and reignite and inspiration. And so this was that hard work that says, you know what? We have to be their advocate. We are teachers' advocates. We are their voice when it seems that their voice isn't being heard. So we're here to take the mute button off of their voice and let you know that they deserve high respect, high honor, and to be held in high regards at all times. It's a mission. It's a calling for me, just as is, I believe, teaching is.
Yeah. All right. That's amazing. So I read that you have won some awards for your performance and your commitment, and as well as your focus on diversity in the workplace. So could you tell me a little bit more about, why those things are important to you and how you've maybe implemented those in the teacher's resource?
Well, diversity is huge, as we know. That's a big word. It's been a word for some years now. It's a popular word.
Yeah.
And when we hear that word diversity, our antennas go up. But I think to understand and respect diversity is very key and essential to being successful as a person, as a leader, as a company, as an organization, because what you're saying is, I understand that everyone isn't like me. And I understand that I'm going to be working with different people with different backgrounds, cultures, upbringings, all of the things that goes into making us different. But it's so powerful because diversity is the key to great success. When you have different people with different thoughts and different ideas that brings different perspectives and outlooks to the table, you will grow as a person, as a leader, as a team, as a company, as an organization, whatever you're setting out to do. So it's important to me to get that I got that award and was recognized for embracing diversity, because sometimes we have people sometimes that don't really know how to handle diversity, and it can cause like maybe some challenges. But when you take the time just to understand and accept that, hey, people are not going to be just like me, and they're going to believe different, and they're going to think different, and they're going to love different. But guess what? It's okay. I'm here and I'm able and I'm strong enough to be able to accept you right where you are. And we can get an understanding how to communicate so we can grow and be effective together.
Yeah. Yeah. That perspective of understanding that not everyone is like me. That's so huge, because most of us, I think, at least growing up for me, and I live in Maine, so I'm like in one of the whitest states of the country, very homogenous, very similar community around me growing up. And it wasn't until I went to college and went to Boston and realized, whoa, the world is a much bigger place, that there's people that are very different from me. But I'm curious for you, like as a Christian and the leader of your company, how do you manage, or I don't know what the right word is, but I guess navigate when you have team members or clients or people that you work with who do have very different views on, let's say politics or religion or all the things that sometimes divide us. Are there any just practical things that you do to respect those people, but also still shine your own faith and your own beliefs to other people?
Absolutely. So what I do is this. Number one, I respect them as people, period. They are a person. They are an individual, regardless of their political belief, their religious belief, their sexual belief. They are a person, and we are here to work together to accomplish a goal. So we stay focused on what we're there for. I get to know them as that person, and I operate and I interact with them on that level. We're not there to dissect or dive into your religious or political or preferences of who you want to love. That's not what we're there for. I feel like when you are who you are, I can just be my authentic self and my organic self, and the light and the love of who I am and how I believe and who I believe in, that'll shine. I don't have to do an announcement. I don't have to, make it clear that I'm a believer and that I love Jesus. It's inevitable to see. And in that, we have unity and everyone feels safe, because I want people to feel safe. And I want them to know that this is a safe space. I'm a safe place. And if you're a part of our team, if you're one of our teachers, I'm not going to not talk to you because your faith is different than my faith, or your view is different than my view. Then I'm not a leader.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, especially this idea of giving people a safe place and a safe space. And I think that as leaders, that is one of our biggest responsibilities, to make sure that people feel safe. And like you said, it goes back to the issue of trust that you mentioned at the beginning, of having that trust with the people that we're leading. So really, really valuable. So as someone who has started a nonprofit, and I know, your previous journey before that too, I'm sure there have been some leadership lessons that you have learned along the way. Are there any particular lessons that you would be willing to share with our audience that might be, helpful for them as they are on their own journey as well?
Well, as a leader, it's so important. And this is where I needed a little help. I call them areas of opportunity when there's, weaknesses or strengths that we need. There was an area and opportunity. I'm a visionary. I see beginning, middle, end. I dream big. I see big. I've been like that since I was a little girl. But it's so important to write your plan out, to do your research. That's not the fun part. when you have to do the research, when you have to do the homework, when you have to look it up. It's easier to get people that are skilled in that area, and you still want that, but you need to know, because as a leader, you're only as effective if you know your knowledge is what grow you. You have to know, and you have to learn, and you have to study, and you have to put in the time. And I would, but I'm one of those persons that I'll read it and I'll get it quick. But no, you have to sit down, dissect it. Make sure you count the cost. Make sure you look at where you are in your life. Make sure that you're in the timing, for me, in the timing of God, because it could be the right plan and the wrong time, and then it won't happen. So make sure you pray. Make sure you write out your plan. You assess where you are in your life from the inside out mentally. Make sure you're mentally strong, emotionally strong, physically strong. And then that way you want to be a healthy leader. You don't want to be a scattered leader. You don't want to be a disorganized leader. You want to be a healthy leader. So I've learned on this journey, plan, write it out, be organized, make sure you take care of you first so that you can present a healthy whole leadership.
Yeah. That's, there's things that we are not great at as leaders, and we don't always love admitting that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, be willing to admit it.
But it is so true that there's just those times that we have to do the hard things, even when it's not our favorite thing. For you, as the leader of your organization, how have you built out your team? Would you be willing to share maybe how you've chosen people to be part of the team for the teacher's resource, and how you decided what type of people you needed on your team?
Well, ironically, we don't have a huge team.
Okay.
We're almost a year old. We're almost a year old, and there have been some roles like administrative roles, treasury roles that we have interviewed, and people have come in to help and or volunteer.
Mm.
And that process is a careful process, because you have to have the right people on your team that's going to come in and be committed to the vision, to what it takes to grow this colossal mission, because it is huge.
Yeah.
And so the way that I build my team, we do interviews, but I like to have a conversation. I always shock people that apply, because they talk to me first, and they like, oh, you're Sonya, you're the founder, you're the CEO. Yeah. Well, we're going to put all those titles aside. I'm just Sonya, and you who you are. And we have a conversation. And I make sure that they feel comfortable, because you hear a person's heart, you hear how they think. And that lets you know if this would be a good fit, if we are a good fit for them and they are a good fit for us. So that's one of the ways I think it works really well. It's just to start off with a conversation, not a formal interview, not behavioral based questions. Let's just have a conversation. And that has proven effective as we build our team, because it's clear on, they share a little bit more about who they are, their experience, even some areas where they have opportunities. So
areas of opportunity.
Yes, areas of opportunity for growth. And so that's the way it's been working for us. And it's a good plan so far.
Yeah. So good. All right. So you mentioned earlier that in our journey, that we all experience failures and challenges, things that we have to overcome. Is there a particular failure or challenge that you've experienced that you've been able to overcome? And would you be willing to share that with our listeners?
Absolutely. I'll be willing to share. You mentioned earlier, sometimes it's hard to do the hard things as a leader. And accountability is major, but sometimes it's hard to be accountable based on what you're being accountable for. So in the process of starting the backpack, now the teacher's resource, a part of our program is our self-care backpacks. And I'll show it to you a little later before we leave here today. And in our self-care backpacks, we have items that help our teachers from the inside out, meaning mentally, emotionally, and physically. Well, when we launched our website, we did news interviews. It was a big thing. And we said, if you're a supporter of teachers, you can send us an email and order a self-care backpack. and we will ship it to the teacher of your choice at no cost to the teacher. And at the time, it was no cost to the sender. Well, I reached out, and I had, sponsors in place, but it failed on me because it wasn't secure as it should have been. And that was my fault. I was like, oh, we got the sponsors, let's go. I should have waited to ensure that we had every part of what we needed to get those self-care backpacks shipped out, because we got over 700 requests for those backpacks. We told them, they put the order in November. We told them we would ship them in April. I shipped a few and then we couldn't ship anymore because no more sponsors. So now, to me, that was a failure. But what I did, I faced it, because people, even now, they're saying, hey, are we still going to get these backpacks? Because some of the teachers that received it, they posted a video. And so, of course, other teachers like, where's our backpacks? We ordered one, or someone ordered one for me. And so now what I've done is, I've talked to everybody, I faced it, and I'm doing a public statement that'll be posted on all of our sites. Although it wasn't my fault, it is my fault. It is my responsibility, because I am a leader and I have to be accountable. So that was, to me, a failure in the sense of, I could not keep my word on the time that I said I could keep my word. I'm going to keep my word, and everyone who requested one will receive one. But I could have done things a little differently to secure everything, to make sure that we didn't have that coming out of the gate as a new organization, because integrity is all you have. And so this is a learning experience. It has been. I'm being accountable, and I'm doing everything I can to make sure all 700 people receive their self-care backpacks.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a hard lesson to learn when something like that happens, and you feel, I know for me, when I have not been in that situation, obviously, but when something similar has happened, I often feel like I've let people down. Yeah. And that's really, that is really hard to feel that way, that you've let people down.
Yeah, so that's exactly how I felt and feel, and so I'm doing everything, we're gaining new sponsors, people to donate certain items to go in the backpack. So we're building it back, but I will keep my word.
Yeah. Okay. So just if somebody, I'm definitely going to have you share at the end, like how people can get involved, but just right now, I'd love to know if there's somebody who's like, I want to sponsor, I want to help. What's the best way for someone to actually be able to help fulfill some of those backpacks and help those be able to get sent out?
They can go to our website at theteachersresource.org, teachers with an S, and on our Contact Us tab, they can send us a message and say, hey, I'm whoever, and I want to donate headphones, or I want to do whatever that item is that they want to donate to go into the self-care backpacks. And on our site, under our programs, you can see a picture of the backpack and the type of items that goes in there.
Okay. So good. Yeah. All right. So I want to ask you a couple more questions related to just your own journey and what you've experienced, as you were just sharing about that challenge that you've overcome and that you've been facing. It made me think of the fact that often we receive criticism from people, or people that maybe aren't as supportive of the dream and the passion that we have for something. So have you faced that in this journey of launching the Teacher's Resource and or other things that you've done in your own journey? And how have you kind of learned to combat or face the criticism or lack of support from other people around you?
Unfortunately, yes, I have faced it. With the Teacher's Resource, the first thought is, that's too big. How in the world are you going to support 3.7 million teachers? You should just start with North Carolina and do it there for a few years and see if it works. Well, that's not the vision that God gave me. And so my faith and my trust in him is greater than the opposition. I read a meme that was on Facebook the other day that said Noah looked like an idiot until it started raining. And God let me know that this is indeed a Noah assignment, and he's given me that Noah type faith and anointing. Hopefully it's not going to take us 120 years or however many years it took Noah to build it. But it's the concept is that this is something huge that just seemed like it's no way to be done. But what I do when I get faced with that opposition or the lack of support thereof, because people, they can't fathom or perceive that something like that could happen. What I do is I'm quiet and I put in the work and I let the results speak. It's no need to have a conversation with someone that doesn't believe in you. You're wasting your time. Understand what you're saying, duly noted. I know what my instructions are. I'm going to stay focused on that. I'm going to put in the work, and then we'll talk and meet again when you see the results that it did work. So
Yeah.
you just have to keep working, and you have to keep yourself in a space where you are away from that noise. You have to find a way to block out that noise. Put your blinders on, keep your focus, tunnel vision, and block out the noise and the voices and the people that represents negativity. Because if not, it'll delay you. It'll mess up your timing. And your purpose has timing, and you have to stay committed to your purpose, and you have to keep that focus because we want to get there on time.
Yeah. I love what you just said about being quiet. And it kind of made me think about what you mentioned too about Noah. Like, I don't see a lot in scripture about Noah arguing with people or trying to prove that what he was doing was the right thing, right? And that is just so powerful to think about when God is giving you something to do and you are called to it, that you don't have to really defend it. Like, you don't have to defend it. You let God do the work, and you stay faithful. Like you said, put your head down, be quiet, and do the work, and let God be the one to bring those results. So
yes,
I feel like that's just going to be a powerful reminder for someone today who maybe is in the midst of a decision like this.
Right.
Yeah. So you've shared a little bit about this as we've been talking through our conversation, but I always like to hear how people are incorporating faith into their leadership. Could you share a little bit more about how faith plays a role in your leadership as you move forward?
Faith is everything in our leadership. I say our because Michelle Martinez, she's our COO and creative director, and truly have been a rock for me. But we pray before all of our staff meetings, no matter who's meeting with us. I don't take a poll of the room to see if you believe in prayer. I just say this is how we operate here at the Teachers Resource, because we are a faith-based organization, nonprofit organization. And so we pray. We always give God glory and honor. Everything we do is based on faith. I pray. My strategies and my ideas come through prayer, come through studying the Word of God, learning, looking at educational things that speak to where I am, motivational things. Just this morning, I was listening to a message about strength. And that's so important for everything that we do. And God reminded me that, Sonya, you cannot do it in your strength. And the Bible lets us know that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So sometimes we run out and we get to our end, and it's almost like that's good because now the strength of God can stand up and be strong and be made perfect in our weakness. So faith is the foundation. God's love and his faith is the foundation for everything that we do. That's who I seek. That's where the ideas come from. We put our heads together, and it's through his divine importation that we are standing. Faith is why I'm here talking to you, even about the Teachers Resource, because it's intimidating to have something this big, but God never gives you anything that you can do, because then if you can do it, why do we need him?
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Oh, that's so amazing. So, Sonya, as we kind of wrap up talking about the Teachers Resource, I would love to just hear, what are you most excited about in the work that you're doing in this mission that God has given you? What makes you most excited about being involved?
The response of the teachers that someone sees me, I'm not invisible. And that not only do you see me, you're not seeing me to give me school supplies for my classroom or for my students. And we love the students. We love the children. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you see that I'm a human being and I have a family and I have needs, and you see me, you hear and see my silent cries. And so I'm excited that we get to offer tools and resources that directly impact the inside care of our teachers, that we can present and help mold healthy teachers, because they are our foundation and they are the most important resource. And if they are not who they need to be, we often hear this saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. Well, we want the cup to be filled. We want the person pouring the cup to be filled, which is our teacher, the person's holding the cup, all of that. That's our teachers. They're the ones that pours into the cups, which represents our students. Well, we want to make sure that our teachers are filled with what they need for their self-care and their total well-being. And if they are filled there, that's going to fill them for what they need when it's time for them to put on their teacher hat. And all of those precious cups that represent our students, they'll be able to pour healthy things into those cups to make sure that our students are our future or our now, and they will be who they are supposed to be in life. So yeah, we want to help them build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's so true that those teachers that are with the kids, 6-8 hours a day, they have a big job. And I just love this passion that you have to help them be able to pour from a full cup. So that's beautiful. So Sonya, we like to chat a little bit about kind of just it's kind of like a lightning round of questions related to your own leadership and how you have been able to move forward. So I'm going to ask you a few more questions related to that. So What is one habit or routine, speaking of staying healthy, that helps you stay healthy as a Christian leader?
I do work out. I work out and I try to eat pretty decent, but I do have a consistent workout regimen.
Okay. Very good. All right. And is there a tool or resource that has helped you to be able to embrace your own gifts and lead with confidence?
Yes. Well, of course, my Bible, but I do have a book that I'm reading called Leading with Your Mind. And that is a great tool. And then my affirmations as well.
Okay. Awesome. Tell me more about your affirmations. Where are they ones that you've created for yourself or that you've gotten from somewhere else?
A little bit of both. I have affirmations that I do that I create just through reading and things that I want to see for myself. Like I am more than a conqueror. I am victorious. I am enough. I matter. I'm strong. I have strength. My mind is clear. I can remember lots of information. I am articulate. I have the answers. I'm someone's help. I'm here to make a difference. Things that I say to myself, you matter. You are beautiful. You're beautiful on the inside and you're beautiful on the outside. You are significant in life. You are wealthy. You are prosperous. So you make an impact. You make a difference. You bring hope. Things like that. That I say to myself. And sometimes just looking in the mirror and having those mirror moments are very powerful too, because the mirror show you exactly who you are. And when you're able to face that and deal with those areas from the inside out, it brings healing and growth.
We are getting so many gold nuggets in this conversation today. So I just want to thank you because I feel like so much of what you have shared resonates with a lot of some of our previous conversations that we've had with guests on the show. And it's kind of pulling it all together.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
So what is one piece of advice that you would give to maybe a younger woman who is just starting out in her leadership journey? What would you tell her?
I would tell a younger woman to make sure that you know who you are and how significant and important and powerful that you are. I would let the younger woman know to take the time that's needed to invest in you, mind, body, and soul. And no matter what, don't you dare give up. Don't you dare stop. What you have is needed. We're waiting on what's inside of you. I would also encourage them to stay focused and to stay grounded and make sure they have the right mentors and coaches and people around them that'll help support them. Have a strong support system and make sure that you are secure within yourself. There's a saying out that we hear a lot that says, secure the bag, meaning do what you got to do to make your money. Well, my thing is this. Money is good. Don't get me wrong. I want you to secure wealth in your mind, wealth in your health, because that'll attract the bag. Make sure that you are secure in yourself, because insecurity will never attract security in any area. So that would be what what I would let a young lady that's coming up that is a now leader and a future leader know who you are, know your purpose, and don't budge from it.
I agree with that one. So good. All right, Sonya. So we always wrap up talking about the fact that leaders are learners, which you referenced at the very beginning of our conversation.
Oh.
So good job. But we love to hear, what is something that you are learning lately that you could share with our audience? It could be a podcast, a book you've read, just a lesson God has taught you, anything that you think would be beneficial to our listeners today.
I mentioned it a little earlier. I've been looking at a series about strength and really breaking down that word and understanding that I can't do it all. Sometimes we tire quickly and we burn out quicker because we rely fully on our strength, and we somehow give ourselves this directive that we have to do it all by ourselves and we have to do it all within our strength and we can't reach out for help. And that's not true. The greatest strength that we can operate in is the strength of the Father. So I've been learning to identify areas where I need to pull more on His strength, and then ways to manage myself so that I can maintain the strength that I need to make it from to day. I've been learning how to not let tasks and situations overwhelm me, that I manage them and they not manage me. So that's taking a moment to make sure that I have my day-to-day goals written out, my to-do list, my checklist, and knowing where to start and stop. I may have 10 things on my list, but guess what? I may have only accomplished 3, and I'm not going to beat myself up because that was the strength that was allotted for me for this day to accomplish those and accomplish them effective and efficiently. So strength, understand that you don't have to do it all. The greatest strength is through Christ, and He is the one who strengthens all of us. Rely on His strength.
Thank you for wrapping us up with that. That is such a good way to close out our conversation. I think that our listeners are going to benefit so much from what they've heard from you today. So thank you, Sonya, for what you've shared, for sharing your journey and just the inspiration of your journey. It's really encouraging. So I know that people are going to want to hear or be able to connect with you after they listen to this episode. So is there you mentioned how people could kind of go and donate if they want to, but what's the best way for someone to learn more about what you're doing at the Teacher's Resource and connect with you?
Yes, you can. Our website has all of our information, theteachersresource.org. Also, you could follow us on the social media platforms. For Instagram and Facebook, it's at the Teacher's Resource, so you could connect with us there. We also have a Twitter page, and it's at Resource 20, and you can connect with us there. And we're also on LinkedIn. I just pull up my name, Sonya K. Battle, and you could connect and follow us there. We update on our sites as well as our website. But just to find out overall about our organization, I would start with our website at theteachersresource.org. And, any questions, just reach out to us and we'll definitely respond.
Okay, amazing. We'll make sure that the links for those are in the show notes so people can just click right over and connect with you and learn more and hopefully get involved in some way. I think that this is a great way for people to just support a great mission. So again, thank you, Sonya, for your time and for being here with us on the Christian Woman Leadership Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me today. It has been a complete honor. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the Christian Woman Leadership Podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, come and join us in our private Facebook community. We would love to get to know you better so that we can make sure the podcast is providing what you need. Plus, you can share your questions and ideas, and you'll be surrounded by incredible Christian women leaders. To join the group, visit estherlittlefield.com/group. Now, don't forget, your leadership matters, and it's time for you to embrace your gifts and lead with confidence.